Once in a blue moon, and the next one isn't out soon, a car comes along that really captures your imagination. Some look to speed, power, and a car's determination, while others tend to go for luxury, comfort, and technology without hesitation, all the while being wrapped in an exterior befitting a king's ransom, for I never thought I'd stand so close to something so handsome. Do you have any idea how long it took me to come up with that? Man, I can't rhyme. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the world's very first Mazda CX-60. Now, accolades aplenty I will give it for its exterior design, interior comfort, and one of its many stars, just exactly what lies underneath the hood. But not everything is sunshine and rainbows. Find out exactly why on this episode of Behind the Wheel. A dash into the AutoDeal app and it will quickly tell you that there are two variants available locally for the Mazda CX-60. The diesel comes in at 2,890,000 Philippine pesos, while the gasoline version we have here today is priced at 100,000 Philippine pesos less. And by the way, the AutoDeal app is more than just a pricing and comparison tool. See, our dealer partners and elite sales agents can find the model, color, and price you're looking at for your new car. From the smallest of hatchbacks to the largest of SUVs, trust me, I know. I'm not just the face of AutoDeal. I'm also a proud client. What I'm not is the owner. Guys, trust me, I don't own this company. I'm just an employee. The exterior of this car, even in this Stormtrooper white, is really a treat. And trust me, it hits a lot more targets more than those guys do. The front clip is led by an unmistakable Mazda design with a large front grille and vertical slats, which are unique to the gasoline variant. Then it's got signature wing lights here up on top, obviously, with LED lights, and no fog lamps, mind you, on the body because the lights are intelligent enough to illuminate everything that you need to see on the road. Then it's got slats here on either side of the bumper, which actually do work and channel the wind down the side of the car. And then as a treat, this doesn't have just indicator lights that turn on. They actually glow. Unlike other current Mazda products whose good looks are derived from a sharp and sleek nose, the CX-60 boasts a chest that is broad and really looks protective. The one big difference of our Philippine spec cars is that they are HEVs, or hybrid electric vehicles. Those in other markets are plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. In short, our cars can propel themselves very briefly or be aided by an electric motor, while the plug-in hybrid electric vehicles can run much longer on just pure electricity. Oh, and also, while the PHEVs are equipped with a 2.5-liter four-cylinder, our HEVs in either gasoline or diesel have a 3.3-liter turbocharged inline-six 8-speed automatic transmission with an all-wheel drive system and a 48-volt motor that produces a total of 280 horses for the gasoline variant and 450 newton meters of torque. That sounds better than Bono himself. And I went to the U2 concert. Yep, that did it. I'm gonna need a moment. I'm gonna need a new diaper. Talk amongst yourselves. Oh my gosh. And that's just the gas variant. If you're wondering about the power of the diesel, the link to the walk around is in the description down below. The size and shape is within the realm of the Mazda CX-5, albeit it's a bit wider, and obviously the hood is a bit longer to accommodate the two extra cylinders. But other than that, the side profile is pretty much standard and less is more, which is very Mazda-ish. You've got your repeaters and cameras on the side mirror, 175 millimeters of ground clearance. And to complement the power of the engine is what I would think be needed, disc brake found up front and at the rear, which hide behind 20-inch wheels wrapped in 50 series tires. Now, I'm not picking favorites, but I think that the wheels on the gasoline variant look so much better than that of the diesel. Just say. I do prefer the taillights on the Mazda CX-9, but these on the CX-60 are quite acceptable. They're okay. So is too the bulbous rear door. But what isn't acceptable, and it's one of those, it's not all sunshine and rainbows kind of a thing, is the fact that we have been bamboozled. Observe. Fake exhaust tips on an inline six. Why? The designers must have had a bottle of wine each by the time they got to the rear and were like, you want to do something funny? Pop the power tailgate, and on paper, Mazda says there's 570 liters of space back here. And I believe them, but you'll have to reduce that by a little bit with the tonneau in play. But you still have enough space for a balikbayan box and overnight luggage on either side of that box. Then there's also a 12-volt socket just in case you've got coolers that require power. And if you need even more space, you can fold the seats in a manner of 20-40-40 split, which is absolutely great with the levers found back here. And it has a flat lip, so loading heavier items, sliding them in all the way to the rear, or rather the front, is not going to be an issue at all. Then underneath, you've got your space-saving tire, and of course, the Bose subwoofer, which will provide you with all the oods you're ever gonna need. Now, the interior of all gasoline variants is clad with black Napa leather, seats stitched and lined with an off color, trimmed in aluminum with silver accents found all around the cabin, while providing conveniences such as air vents, Type-C charging points, bottle holders on either door, and a center armrest. Space isn't as generous as we first hypothesized here in the rear because of how long the car is, but at least you won't feel claustrophobic because you have a share of the panoramic roof. Still though, it's adequate enough for even taller passengers like Jack to sit in the rear seat behind his own driving position. Well, ever so much. The pilot's end of the CX-60 is really designed with purpose and crafted in detail. Allow me to explain. The top of the instrument cluster and the infotainment screen don't go past the base of the windshield so as not to impede the view of the driver. The ergonomics are such that the armrest on the door and that of the height of the center box is level so that it just minimizes fatigue. The commander knob found here, which controls the 12.3-inch screen, is in an angle that it's not so deep anymore. It's much higher now to minimize strain. The dashboard is all soft leather, and I love it. It feels really plush inside this car. And also, there is barely any piano black inside this car. That I absolutely love. You've got standard things like wireless Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. You've got a 10.4-inch heads-up display. I've also found 3 really cool things that Mazda has put inside this car that steps it up in terms of visualization and personalization. Mazda's latest take on a 360-degree camera simulates a see-through feature to enhance your perceived position. More impressive still is the personalization system. Enter your height and the system's facial recognition technology will detect your eye position, adjusting the seat to your ideal angle and level, which simultaneously adjusts the steering wheel, heads-up display, and the viewpoint of the side mirrors. And third, time and again I've said this, but the Bose system inside the top-end and premium models of Mazda is really top-notch and one of the best ones that you can get at this price point. Impressive as all that may be, more so is the power of this engine on an open road. This thing pulls more than Bruce Wayne at a singles bar. But before we do get on with it, do consider subscribing to our channel because we create these videos just for you guys. Now, I did say that this car isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and I promise you we'll get to that a little bit later, because it isn't right now when you're driving it like a hooligan around mountain roads and tight turns, because right here and right now, this car is absolutely fantastic. fantastic! The rear-biased all-wheel drive system grips really well and features kinematic posture control, which basically adds stability when cornering by braking the inside rear wheel to mitigate body roll. The problem isn't highway driving either. While others have gone the opposite direction by doing smaller engines, smaller displacements and whatnot, Mazda, in this particular instance, basically said, kiss my butt. Look, it's a cliche because it's true. Unless you're talking about a Formula One engine, there is no replacement for displacement. And that feeling of a much larger engine too, that whole experience is just so much more profound. Which is why I can calmly say and truthfully say that I don't mind that this car only gets about 6.5 kilometers per liter inside Metro Manila traffic. And out on the highway, it only does a bit better, you'd expect more, at 16.7 kilometers per liter. Look, I'm not gonna get myself a 6-cylinder and expect to get 12 kilometers per liter inside Metro Manila traffic. Let's be real here. If, however, fuel efficiency is a priority for you and you're looking at a crossover of right about this size, perhaps take a look at our walk around of the Toyota RAV4 HEV. That might actually be more up your alley. You can even forgive it for its rather stiffer suspension while on the highway. Crossovers, I'm used to something a little bit more pliant on the road, a little bit softer, right? But you do eventually understand that if you are a 47-year-old Ewok-sized mama's boy like myself, that when you do drive it like a hooligan around bends and twisty roads, that the stiffer suspension is there for a reason. It's when you're inside the city and you've slowed down a bit is where it seems like the clouds are hovering and are very dark somewhere in the not too distant. I've taken the liberty of coming to an area inside the city that simulates more traffic-like situations without actually being in traffic, because that's not as pretty as these roads. From a mechanical aspect, what Mazda has done is remove the torque converter and replace it with a clutch, essentially making this car a dual clutch transmission, which means that it kind of behaves just like a DCT. I will go as far as to say that no, it certainly does not behave like the much more affordable DCTs that you will find in other crossovers out there. But what it feels like when you're slowing down here and you try to pick up speed again, like if you were in traffic, it's like, it feels like the car is uncertain, like it's fishing for a gear, like a fish out of the water. And it's kind of annoying, really. It's not exactly going to make or break the bank, so to speak, but it is enough to make you think twice. And annoying, like I said, it's like somebody standing in front of you at a McDonald's and they're about to order, but they do this. Dude, the menu hasn't changed in over 7,000 years. Just pick something and get on with it. You can feel the car shuffle, trying to figure out where to draw its power from, whether it be from the internal combustion engine or from the electric motor, or a combination of both. And that's where it tends to overthink things, really. Like, it doesn't know which one to stay with and push from there. And because it's a DCT, when you're in stop-and-go traffic, as I'll demonstrate right now, I'll stop. It sometimes doesn't lurch forward when you want it to, and then when you step on the accelerator ever so slightly, then it sort of like springs into life immediately, quite faster than you would be normally used to. And yet, there's another thing that I caught it with. When you are traveling at, let's say, 40 kilometers per hour, and you coast ever so slightly, and then get on the gas with a little bit of force, there is sort of like a thud, like a vibration skipping you forward. The closest analogy that I can get to would be as if, let's say that you are with a student driver driving stick, and they move from first gear into second gear. That double bump sensation, yeah, that's the feeling that you kind of get. And to be completely frank, it's very un-Mazda. I'm aware that you may feel that I'm being overcritical about this, and that's only because, well, I've always been a fan of Mazda crossovers, and I consider them really as one of my automobile heroes, even if I don't myself own one. And fortunately or unfortunately, you should always hold your heroes to a different standard, as I'm sure Mazda does too. With that said, however, I do believe and feel that there is a patch of sunshine out there not too far away. And that's because Mazda has already equipped the CX-60 with all the mechanical goodness it needs to take it from a good car to one that can take it to the likes of the BMW X3 or the Volvo XC60. It has just got so much potential. An update here or there, which I know Mazda is most definitely capable of, can take this from being a generally good car to greatness.